Donc ça, c'est 5 différents types d'énergie de Shri Krishna. Comment nous trouver? Panchatattva, c'est Krishna lui-même qui expand en 5 parties. Donc Panchatattva, il y a aussi Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lui-même. Within the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya, known as the Yogapith, the Panchatattva have their seat. Thus, the Yogapith is the holiest of all holy places. Le fait que Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu apparaît à Yogapith, donc Yogapith, les places qui plus holy, qui plus pure de toute bonne place spirituelle. The circumference of Mayapur is 3.5 miles, and its diameter about 1.25 miles. Nityananda continued, very soon, by the will of the Lord, this entire area will be submerged under the waters of the Ganges. Later, again by his will, this holy land will be revealed once more in all its glory. The holy land is eternal. It can never be lost, but it is sometimes hidden and sometimes visible. In this way, the appearance and disappearance of the divine abode of the Lord are like rising and setting of the sun. Sri Chaitanya, my worshipable Lord, resides eternally in Mayapur, on the east of the Ganges. In the eyes of the common people, the Lord took sannyas, left Nabadwip, and went elsewhere. But actually, Sri Chaitanya never leaves Mayapur or Nabadwip. Donc, comment on dire la dernière fois que Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, sa moment qui est dans sa lila là, lui, il prend sannyas et il quitte Nabadwip. Mais comment il peut dire, ça c'est in the eyes of the common people. Nityananda Prabhu peut dire que Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu jamais il quitte Nabadwip et Mayapur. Only devotees can perceive his daily pastimes. You too, Jiva, will see the dancing pastimes of Sri Chaitanya. Mayapur is on the land of Antardwip, where Lord Brahma was able to see Sri Chaitanya. O Jiva, if you want to see all these things, it will be fruitful for you to make a pilgrimage here. Donc, il peut dire, Jiva Goswami, Nityananda Prabhu peut dire Jiva Goswami, qui sa même sa place là, quand Brahma dit, il récit trouve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Et pour cause lo là encore plus en détail. Mais c'est sa place là même, c'est à Antardwip même que Brahma dit, il trouve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pour la première fois. Et il peut dire que tout ça là, je vous comprends plus bien quand il peut faire Parikrama. Jiva Goswami, upon hearing the words of the Lord Nityananda, fell at the Lord's feet with tears in his eyes and said, you will show real mercy to this poor soul if you take me with you on a pilgrimage of the holy places of Nabadwip Dham. Hearing the plea of Jiva Goswami, Nityananda said, so be it. Today, Jiva, you shall see Mayapur, and tomorrow we will visit other places and to more extensively. Donc, Nityananda Prabhu dit, les pour prendre Jiva Goswami, les pour amener pour faire Parikrama de Sri Nabadwip. Alors, ça, c'est quelque chose de très très joli qui nous peut gagner, c'est nous peut gagner Parikrama de Sri Nabadwip à travers Sri Nityananda Prabhu lui-même. With these words, Nityananda Prabhu arose and Jiva followed behind him, his heart filled with joy. Nityananda moved slowly, his body transported by divine love, Gaura Prema. His body transported by divine love, Gaura Prema, the enchanting figure of Nityananda covered with the golden ornaments and moved by the waves of spiritual emotion, glittered and shone. Donc, Nityananda Prabhu, il peut bouger par l'amour pour Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Et il peut paraître bien joli avec ce ban bijou qu'il mettait. Et aussi, ça, l'émotion qu'il y a là. Ça peut faire lui shine. Ça peut faire lui animer. The lotus feet of Nityananda, which could not be attained by Brahma and Shiva in their divine meditation, were mercifully bestowed upon Jiva Goswami. Donc même Brahma avec Shivji, pour cette méditation, vous n'êtes pas incapable de gagner Nityananda Prabhu Sacharan. Mais Jiva Goswami, il gagne ça. Following behind Nityananda, Jiva Goswami took the dust from his lotus feet and anointing himself with it and walked on with great eagerness. Donc Nityananda Prabhu peut marcher devant, faire parikrama, Jiva Goswami peut suivre lui, et partout quand Nityananda Prabhu se charan peut poser, là-bas, Jiva Goswami peut prendre la poussière sur charan, il peut passer sur les coups. They reached the home of Jagannath Mishra. As Nityananda Prabhu entered the house, he introduced Jiva Goswami to Sri Sachi Mata, saying, "O Mother, here is Sri Jiva. He is a high-minded soul and a dear servant of Sri Chaitanya, who is extremely fortunate." As Nityananda Prabhu spoke, Jiva fell over like a tree uprooted by a storm. Falling at Sachi Devi's feet and unable to speak, his body exhibited uncontrollable symptoms of ecstasy. Donc, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, il amène Jiva Goswami dans la case de Sri Sachi Mata. Et comment Jiva Goswami trouve Sachi Mata? Il tombe sur les pieds. Et il gagne extase. Il n'est pas capable de causer. Out of her mercy, Sachi Mata blessed him. That afternoon, in the house of Jagannath Mishra, Nityananda Prabhu and Jiva Goswami accepted prasad. Donc, vous allez prendre prasad là-bas. Vishnupriya Devi, on the order of Sachi Mata, cooked different kinds of rice, vegetables, chutney, and sweets. Vamsivadana Thakur carefully offered bhog to the deity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ishana Thakur, the old servant of Jagannath Mishra's family, who had been staying there since Nimai Pandit had taken sannyas, happily served Nityananda Prabhu prasad. Donc voilà, nous pouvons Nityananda Prabhu ici, nous pouvons Jiva Goswami ici, Sachi Mata ici, avec Ishana Thakur ici, dans sa photo là. Out of motherly affection, Sachi Devi told Nityananda, "Eat your rice, my child. You are at your mother's house now. Unseen by you, Nimai has already taken his lunch. If you will also eat your lunch, it will make me very happy." Hearing the motherly words of Sachi Devi, Nityananda Prabhu enjoyed his lunch with great delight, and Jiva Goswami honored his remnants. Donc, Sachi Mata dit que toi, tu n'as pas trouvé seulement Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, l'accepter, Nimai, l'accepter son offering. Donc, Sachi Mata tous les jours lui donne Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offering et il trouve lui qui peut accepter sa offering. Et après que Nityananda Prabhu peut manger, Jiva Goswami peut prendre son restant, son prasad. Jiva Goswami said, "I feel blessed to have the good fortune of taking prasad in the home of Sri Chaitanya in Mayapur." Donc pensez, Jiva Goswami arrive dans la case de Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lui-même et Sachi Mata peut servir le prasad. C'est extraordinaire. Jiva Goswami offered his respects to Vamsivadana's lotus feet, and Nityananda explained to Jiva Goswami, "The devotees know that Vamsivadana is Krishna's own dear flute, by whose mercy souls are attracted to Krishna and thirstily drink the highest mellows of devotion." Donc Vamsivadana, c'est Krishna so bansuri même qui apparaît dans Chaitanya Lila. "Look, Jiva, in this house Sri Chaitanya would take us in and we would perform wonderful pastimes. Just see, this is the temple of Jagannath Mishra, where he used to do his daily worship of Vishnu. In this house he served his guests. There is the Tulsi Bower. While he was still in this house, he performed all the duties his own father had done before him. Relying on the authoritative directions of Vamsivadana Thakur, Ishan now performs those duties every day. Here there once grew a neem tree. It disappeared by the divine touch of Sri Chaitanya. Donc, Nityananda Prabhu peut montrer Jiva Goswami qui va la faire que Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tu peux faire sa place là. Il peut dire sa place là tiens Tulsi Devi tiens sa place là tiens mandir de Vishnu que Mahaprabhu tu peux faire seva là-bas pareil comme son papa. Donc il peut donner une description différentes choses qui est là-bas. As he described this, Nityananda wept in separation and Vamsivadana also wept. Donc à ce Nityananda Prabhu peut penser Chaitanya Mahaprabhu et le fait qu'il est séparé, il commence à pleurer. Just then, Srivas Thakur approached out of curiosity. When he saw the party of devotees, he joined them, and the four of them left the home of Jagannath Mishra. Donc Vamsivadana Thakur, Nityananda Prabhu et Srivas Thakur, et Jiva Goswami, tous les quatre quittent la case de Jagannath Mishra. Together they walked 200 meters south until they came to the courtyard of Srivas Thakur, known as Srivasangan. There, Sri Chaitanya used to perform kirtan. With his mind filled with transcendental pleasure, Nityananda showed the house of Srivas to Jiva Goswami, who became overwhelmed with ecstasy. He remembered the pastimes of the Lord. Donc, Nityananda Prabhu, il montrait Jiva Goswami la case de Srivas Thakur. Quand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, tu peux habituer faire kirtan souvent. As Jiva Goswami gradually recovered, he had a vision of one of the Lord's pastimes. Sri Chaitanya was dancing with his intimate devotees. In that great kirtan party, he witnessed with joy the unprecedented dancing of Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar Pandit and Haridas Thakur, who sang sweetly as they danced. Donc, Jiva Goswami commence à faire vision de Chaitanya Mahaprabhu puis chanter, danser le kirtan avec Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar Pandit, Advaita Acharya et Haridas Thakur qui peut chanter. The great devotee Shuklambara danced and was accompanied by hundreds of other devotees who also danced blissfully. Seeing this, Jiva lost consciousness in ecstasy of divine love. Donc, comment Jiva Goswami trouve sa vision là, il tombe sans connaissance. Awakening and finding that his vision of the Lord's pastimes had vanished, he began to lament, crying, "Alas, why was I born a little earlier? Why was I not born a little earlier?" I am so unfortunate. I was born too late to taste the ecstatic bliss of such a kirtan. But Nityananda's mercy is unlimited. By his grace, I have had a moment's good fortune. My only wish is to stay here in Mayapur forever, so that the miseries of material existence will go far away. But the order of the Lord is stronger than this poor servant's desire, so I must soon leave. Still, my heart is agitated at the thought of giving up Mayapur. Donc, Jiva Goswami pe chagrin, mais c'est moi qui peux remercier Nityananda Prabhu pour sa kripa, l'enrechi gagne l'occasion, gagne sa vision de sa kirtan. Et un affaire qui est très important qui est mentionné ici, il y a plusieurs personnes donc nous comptons quand nous allons dham, nous disons hey, mon envie reste dham, mon envie reste là, mon envie éternellement reste là. Qu'est-ce que tu peux dire, moi tu peux rester là même, moi tu peux rester là Vrindavan sans Mayapur. Mais ici Jiva Goswami montrer qui instruction de Sri Guru plus important qui son own desire. Donc là il montre qui appelle Bhakti. Bhakti c'est pas satisfaire nos désirs. Bhakti c'est satisfaire Guru ce désir. Guru c'est instruction. Srila Prabhupada il a fait preaching. Donc nous devons se faire preaching, pas juste rester dans Mayapur, pas juste rester dans Mayapur. Donc ça c'est un exemple qui Jiva Goswami peut donner ici. At that time, Nityananda Prabhu took Jiva with him to the house of Advaita, 20 meters to the north. Donc, depuis Shivasangan, 20 mètres dans le nord, et là, Advaita Acharya sur la case. There, he told Jiva, "Here is the house of Advaita Acharya, where the Vaishnavas used to meet and to discuss Krishna." Donc, là-bas, je peux joindre, et je peux discuter le Krishna. Here, Advaita Prabhu worshipped Krishna and by his loud calls caused the treasure of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to descend into this world. Donc c'est sa place là même qui Advaita Acharya les faire prayer pour Sri Krishna pour dire aller descendre dans la terre comme Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Donc c'est ça même sa place là que Nityananda Prabhu peut montrer Jiva Goswami. From there, the four walked 10 meters east, donc 10 mètres dans direction est, to the house of Godadhar Pandit. In this way, Nityananda showed Jiva Goswami the houses of all the Lord's associates. After seeing the houses of the Brahmanas, the four great souls walked down to the banks of the Ganges with great delight. There, on the border of Mayapur, Jiva Goswami saw the Vriddha Shiva temple. Donc, je arrive côte border de Mayapur, et que là, Jiva Goswami il trouve Vriddha Shiva. Donc, je venu visiter tout ban la case de Van Brahman. Nityananda explained, Lord Shiva is the guardian of this holy land of Mayapur. Donc, tout ban place, quand Krishna fait ce passe-temps, nous trouvons most of the places, Shivji, les gardiens de cette place-là. Donc, ici aussi, dans Mayapur, nous me montrer Lord Shiva as the guardian of Mayapur. This is the place where his eternal consort, Prodhamaya, is eternally situated. When the Lord leaves this earthly plane, by his wish, the Ganges will swell and inundate Mayapur. Donc, il peut dire ici que quand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quitte la terre, par son wish, Ganga pour inonde Maya. It shall remain underwater for 100 years, after which the flood waters shall be withdrawn. No houses will stand there any longer, and thus it shall remain barren for some time. Later, by the will of the Lord, people will again live in Mayapur as before. All the ghatas on the banks of the Ganges will again become manifest, and devotees will build temples there. One exceedingly wonderful temple will appear from which eternal service to Sri Chaitanya will be preached everywhere. At that time, Prodhamaya will return, and by the Lord's will, she will perform her duties of revealing his divine abode. Donc, Prodhamaya, ça veut dire, normalement, on connaît Durga Devi et Maya. Donc, Shivji avec Durga Devi, le Burho Raj Shiva, et que donc Vriddha Shiv avec Prodhamaya, ça dès là je fais manifestation. Et il peut dire ici que Ganga Devi pour inonde partout, mais après par la grâce de Prodhamaya même, qui je tout pour retrouver tout magnifique. Il dit ici que one exceedingly wonderful temple will appear from which eternal service of Sri Chaitanya will be preached everywhere. Donc, preached everywhere. Vous pensez, peut-être, les pays mentionnent ici, donc nous pas connaissons, mais peut-être les pays mentionnent ici, de Vishaka qui mandir?
Temple of Vedic Planetarium.
Ouais. Grand mandir Mayapur. Donc, il dit exceedingly wonderful temple. Adbhut mandir. Donc ça, ici, Nityananda Prabhu explique Jiva Goswami. Hearing these words, Jiva Goswami folded his hands and, taking hold of Nityananda's lotus feet, said, O Lord, you are the ultimate truth. The holy land, the holy name, and the holy form of the Lord all have their existence in you. Although, as the Guru of all living entities, you act according to the will of the Lord, still you are understood to be the Supreme, since all energies rest in you. Anyone who thinks there is a difference between you and Sri Chaitanya, O Lord, is counted among the atheists by the wise. Donc, pensez que Jiva Goswami peut dire ici. C'est qui pensait que Nityananda Prabhu avec Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, c'est différent, les compter comment dire man athéiste. Les compter comment dire man athéiste. C'est extraordinaire. O omniscient Supreme Lord, you have descended for the purpose of displaying your pastimes, but one doubt has arisen within my heart. When the Ganges hides Mayapur, where does Lord Shiva and his energy, his consort Pradamaya, go? Nityananda said, donc là Dieu Goswami peut demander, mais Shivji avec Pradamaya, que vous pouvez aller quand pour une inondation dans Mayapur? Nityananda said, Jiva, listen carefully to my words. Look there on the western side of Ganges. That high sandy shoal is known as Paradanga. There lives a community of Brahmanas. North of that, of the banks in Chinnadanga, Shiva and his energy will stay for some time in a village which will be situated there in the future. Donc, à cette époque-là, il y a une place qui s'appelle Chinnadanga, mais il y a dans le futur un village que Shivji avec Pradamaya. Who can properly describe the glories of that place on the banks of the Ganges? It is the arena of the rusted dams. The fleshy eye can see only a sandy patch of land, but in reality it is the holiest of holy places, decorated with transcendental jewels, where divine pastimes are constantly performed. Mayapur is a non-different form of the greatest forest of Mahavan in Goloka Vrindavan, and Paradanga is Sattika, the Rasamandal of Vrindavan. Donc Paradanga. Paradanga se place là, c'est Sattika put in a Rasamandal of Vrindavan. Later, the glories of this place will be loudly sung. You should understand that this Mayapur, these river banks, and the Ganges here are all part of the holy abode of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Whoever wanders through these 10 miles can see this Mayapur, situated beautifully on the banks of the Ganges. Whoever makes this pilgrimage on the full moon day in the month of Phalgun, February-March, in the company of devotees will certainly attain the eternal treasure of divine love. Donc, n'importe qui s'en là, à là-bas, dans Mayapur, pour Gaur Purnima, donc, vous trouve eternal treasure of divine love. Vous atteindre ça. Vous avez la possibilité d'atteindre ça. Donc, comme on a dit la dernière fois, nous ne pas pour aller Mayapur d'après l'Iger, nous pas Mayapur d'après l'équerre. Donc, nous besoin reach Mayapur d'après l'équerre. Donc, quand depuis l'équerre nous trouvons Mayapur, c'est là que nous gagnons ça, treasure of divine love. Oh Jiva, listen to a secret. A beautiful deity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which was originally installed and worshipped by Vishnu Priya Devi, will soon come to this holy place, Shattika Dham, where it will be worshipped by Brahmana, descendants of Jagannath Mishra's family. 4 years after the Advent day of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the worship of this deity will be restored to the highest standard. Keep these confidential truths to yourself, for they are not to be revealed at present. For now, let us continue our pilgrimage in great transcendental bliss. Donc, il dit qu'il y a une déité de Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu qui peut worship par Vishnu Priya Devi dans sa place spécifique là, Shattika Dham. Nityananda continued, 6 meters from the bathing place known as Vriddha Shiva Ghat, you can see Sri Chaitanya's own bathing place. Donc, quand Vriddha Shiva Ghat était là-bas, 6 mètres loin de ça, il y a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so bathing place. In his childhood, he played in those waters and performed many pranks. Seeing the good fortune of the Yamuna, in whose waters Krishna played, Ganga Devi, the daughter of Himalayas, engaged in penances so she could also achieve the Lord's association. Donc, quand Krishna in fait lila dans Yamuna, Ganga Devi fait tapasya et demande Bhagavan so association. At last, Krishna bestowed his mercy upon Ganga Devi and appeared before her. At that time he told her, very soon, in a golden form, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I will sport and play in your waters. Those pastimes were performed here in the waters of the Ganges by the master of all three worlds, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Donc, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Vyaso, but Lila, the Gangali. Upon seeing the holy place known as Gauranga Ghat, where the Lord used to bathe, Jiva Goswami became joyful. Donc, lintu Gauranga Ghat, ko Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chpe naze, chpe baigné, basically. Jiva Goswami in joyful, in bien content. Nityananda continued. 100 meters north of here is the bathing place known as Madhai Ghat, and 10 meters north of that is a beautiful ghat which is attractive to all the townspeople. This exceedingly beautiful bathing place is called Barakona Ghat. It was constructed by Vishwakarma on the order of Sri Krishna. The Barakona Ghat in créé par Vishwakarma par l'ordre de Sri Krishna. Il y a une place qui est extra jolie. At this spot, you will see 5 Shiva temples, and with their Shiva lingas, all self-effulgent and brilliant. Donc, on a 5 Shivji sur temple, et on a Shivling. These 4 ghatas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's own ghatas, Vriddha Shiva Ghat, Madhai Ghat, and Barakona Ghat, Katla, increase the beauty of Sridham Mayapur. A bath in any of these 4 bathing ghatas cleanses away all material miseries. Kisa veut dire? And bath the Saban Ghatla, vous clean tous nos material miseries. Kisa veut dire? Nous sommes là dans le naze? Hein? Nous sommes là dans le nettoyer nos material miseries. Nous sommes dans Saban Ghatla. Nous commençons dans le naze. Hoje mesmo te pergunto em classe, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj, quand il m'a expliqué comment c'est la Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, je peux expliquer comment vous avez fait ban ghat, ban spiritual place, zut honor, comment pour honor zut. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, il dit jamais mettre nous les pieds dans ce ban ghat là. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, il dit jamais mettre les pieds dans ce ban ghat là. Nous bisons prendre un petit bit de l'eau. Sprinkle le nous forehead. C'est la seule façon qui nous capable actually honor Saban Ghat là. Et c'est comme ça même qui nous peut faire ça bath, ce qui nous peut dire là, entre guillemets. Donc ça même qui peut suffire. Si nous properly honor Saban Ghat là, ça même pour clean our material miseries. East of Mayapur is Antardwip. By the will of the Lord, this place will remain uninhabited for many years. After some time, people will again begin to live there, and it will become famous as one of the glories of Nadia. Jiva, stay in Mayapur today. Tomorrow we will go to Simantadwip. Hearing this, Jiva Goswami said, "One question comes to my mind. Please hear it. When the current of the Ganges at last shifts and uncovers Mayapur, how will the devotees find the lost holy places? What signs will be left for them to discover?" Nityananda, relishing the nectarian words of Jiva Goswami, replied, "Listen, O Jiva. Although the Ganges will cover most of this place, one corner of Mayapur will remain intact. Many non-devotees or yavanas will live there, and it will continue to be known as Mayapur." Donc, en place de Mayapur, pour reste garde sa nom Mayapur là. About 1,000 meters to the southwest, one will be able to see a mound of earth covered with shrubs. Donc, dans 1000 mètres southwest, en Djibouti, vous trouve une place qui fait en la terre, qui est un bout man pied sec, plante, man petit plante, man l'herbe, tout ça là, couvert. This will indicate the site of Jagannath Mishra's house. 33 feet from there, the Vriddha Shiva temple will be found, and from such measurement one will be able to understand where all the other lost holy places are located. Donc là, Nityananda Prabhu peut dire, je vous trouve place de Jagannath Mishra sur la case, et depuis là-bas, je vous prends mes yeux, je peux aller, je vous trouve Vriddha Shiva ce mandir. 33 pieds loin de ça, je vous trouve Vriddha Shiva ce mandir, et depuis ça déplace-là, je peux prendre mes yeux comme tout ban les restes place. A pool called Shiva Doba will be seen. That will mark the place where the banks of the Ganges had formerly been. In this way, by the will of the Lord, the devotees will reveal the lost holy places. Know this for certain. At the end of 400 years, the task of recovering the lost holy places will begin. Sri Jiva Goswami said, "My Lord, why is this place called Antardwip?" Nityananda explained, "At the end of Dwapar Yuga, Lord Brahma performed severe penances and austerities to get the mercy of Sri Chaitanya. Lord Brahma had stolen the cowherd boys and calves of Sri Krishna by his mystic power, but was defeated by the master of all mystics, Sri Krishna." Donc Brahma, qu'est-ce qu'il fait? Brahma, qu'est-ce qu'il fait? Les participants believe que Krishna is Bhagavan, donc il essaie qu'aucun soban camarade, et que soban vache, et mais seulement Krishna, donc Brahma essaie faire Maya, mais Krishna c'est Maya plus fort que Brahma, normal, parce que Krishna is master of Maya. Donc Brahma and Krishna defeat Brahma. Realizing the great offense he had committed, Lord Brahma became most unhappy. He offered many beautiful prayers to Sri Krishna, the master of Vrindavan, begged forgiveness, and was ultimately pardoned by the Lord. Donc Krishna, quand Brahma in demandli pardon, Krishna in pardon Brahma. Then Brahma began to consider, "I am thinking that I am the creator of the universe. But this is a useless mentality. By thinking in this way, I have cheated myself out of the divine love of Krishna and ecstasy of the mellows of Vrindavan. If only I could have taken birth as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan, I would have had the chance to serve Krishna, the master of the gopis. I was unable to achieve that ambrosial mellows of Krishna's pastime. But I shall not fall victim to this useless egotism when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performs his pastimes." Donc, Brahmaji, il n'est pas feel satisfied par forgiveness de Sri Krishna, et il dit comme ça que mon senti, mon ahankar, que mon créateur de ce monde-là, d'accord, ça, moi pas reconnaître Krishna, mais moi, je participe dans Krishna ce lit-là. Mais je n'ai pas réussi, mais je suis capable de faire ce que Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a fait. Thinking in this way, Lord Brahma went to Antardwip, where he performed austerities and penances in deep meditation for a long time. At last, one day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to bestow his mercy on Lord Brahma. He said, "O Brahma, I am satisfied with your austerities. I have come to give you whatever you want." Opening his 8 eyes, the four-headed Brahma, who had been absorbed in meditation, beheld Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and fell to the ground unconscious. Donc, quand Brahma il fait méditation, pendant bon temps, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu n'apparaît devant lui, et il dit qu'il est satisfait pour toute l'austérité qu'il fait. Et quand Brahma dit, entend ça, il nous vient se dire, quand il trouve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, il tombe sans connaissance. The Lord placed his lotus feet upon Brahma's heads. Donc, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pose les pieds Lord Brahma sur la tête. And Lord Brahma, enlightened with divine knowledge, began to sing the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Donc, il finit sing glories de Krishna, after il sing glories de Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nityananda continued. Lord Brahma began to pray as follows: "I am low, worthless, and controlled by pride. Forgetting your lotus feet, I have become absorbed in the mellows of material life. Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, all the demigods and myself are subordinate to you. We are your slaves. This is stated in the scriptures. but we are not as fortunate as your pure devotees, and so Maya covers us with a net of illusion. Brahma peut dire que tout ban demigod nous servi ou nous dans seva de Krishna, mais nous pas autant fortunés comme on se pure devotees, parce que Maya Devi crée l'illusion dans nous. The first 100 trillion years of my life have now passed, and I have finally been forced to this realization. Donc, comme tout connaît qui c'est dans après first 100 trillion years de nous l'année ce qui nous est là. Après ça qui Krishna fait celui-là. Donc Brahma dit après autant Zolin trouve Krishna. Donc Lela Lin come to ça realization. My only prayer is that I may become your associate in your earthly pastime, giving up the illusion that I am the creator of the universe. I want only to take part in your association and sing your glories. Donc Brahma et Jalinavi prend naissance dans Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's association. Hearing the prayers of Lord Brahma, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "So be it, Tathastu," and bestowed upon him the treasure of divine love, saying, "When my pastimes will become visible on earth, you will take birth in a Yavana family. You will become famous for your humility as Haridas Thakur." Jai Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Donc, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu il a accepté sa demande de Brahmaji et il dit qu'il peut apparaître comment Haridas Thakur. Completely free of all pride, you will chant 300,000 names of Krishna daily. Passing from this world, you will see me, and at the end of the second 100 trillion years of your life, you will attain Nabadwip Dham, absorbed in the eternal mellows of divine love. Donc, quand ce second 100 trillion years de cela vie finit passer, l'époux al dans Nabadwip Dham pour rentrer dans eternal divine love. Donc, ça c'est Kripa qui Brahma ji gagné par Shri Krishna. Now hear these most confidential words, O Brahma. This is not clear in the scripture for all to see. Taking the position of a devotee, I will reveal the Sankirtan movement to inaugurate the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. In this way, I will taste the nectar of the mellows of devotion. I will make all the devotees of all the previous avatars intoxicated with nectar of Vrindavan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu peut dire qu'il peut apparaître comme son propre dévot et il peut faire tout ban dévot qui apparaît de plusieurs avatars avant, de pour gagner sa nectar de Vrindavan. To experience the love that Srimati Radharani has for me, I will appear with her sentiments and complexion. Donc, qu'on connaît pure devotion, c'est Srimati Radharani qui est là. Donc, Krishna dit qu'il vous prend mood de Srimati Radharani et pour apparaître. Taking her position, I will taste that happiness which only she obtains in serving me. Donc, Srimati Radharani, il serve Krishna et il est tout seul qui gagne sa true taste of service to Krishna. Donc, il n'est pas enjoy Krishna, il serve Krishna. Donc, il gagne sa true taste of service là. Alors, Krishna dit qu'il peut apparaître avec sa mood la même pour capable gagner sa true taste of devotion. From today, act as my disciple and as Haridas Thakur, serve me eternally. Donc, que Chaitanya Mahaprabhu peut dire Brahma pour serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu éternellement comme Haridas Thakur. Saying this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became invisible. At that time, Brahma fell to the ground and in a half-conscious state cried out, "O Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, friend of the fallen, dearest to the devotees, when will I attain the shelter of your lotus feet?" In this way he wept for many days and then returned to Brahmalok to finish his work. Donc, quand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finit de dire tout ça là, il disparaît, Brahma il commence à pleurer, il commence à crier, Mahaprabhu, comment pour gagner au charan, où les pieds se shelter. Et il pleurait, après beaucoup de jours, et il retourne dans Brahmalok. Here, Nityananda concluded his talks with Jiva Goswami on Antardwip always praying for the mercy of Janava Devi and Nityananda Prabhu, and aspiring for the shade of their lotus feet, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who considers himself most fallen, sings the glories of Nabadwip Dham. Donc Nityananda Prabhu conclut ce causé avec Jiva Goswami le Antardwip et Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur peut dire qui lui demande kripa de Janava Devi avec Nityananda Prabhu pour qu'il lui gagne zut shelter. Petite question ou quelque chose à partager jusqu'à ici. Est-ce que vous avez un mot?
Oui, pétano.
Okay. Moi, j'avais demandé, t'as chose à péter le mot, mais parce que tout ça là, ça va péter le mot, non?
Non, pétano, là, tout correct, correct.
Good. Donc, à ce terre, nous finissons Mayapur, ici, on a trouvé, nous parlons de Simantadwip. Donc, Antardwip fini, voilà Simantadwip. Donc, moi, vous faire une partie de Simantadwip et là, nous vous continuer demain. Simantadwip. All glories to Sri Chaitanya, the son of Sachidevi. All glories to Nityananda, the life of Janava. All glories to Sri Advaita Acharya, Prabhu, the husband of Sridhar. All glories to Gadadhar Pandit. All glories to Sridivas Thakur and all the devotees of the Lord. Early the next morning, donc là, vous êtes infini, elle repose même. Et le lendemain matin, Nityananda Prabhu left with Srivas and Jiva Goswami. Joining up with Ramadas and other devotees, they chanted the holy name of Sri Chaitanya in Sankirtan as they continued on their way. When they came to the very edge of Antardwip, Nityananda pointed out the holy place known as Ganga Nagar to Jiva Goswami, saying, "Oh Jiva, listen carefully." Alors, le lendemain matin, Nityananda Prabhu prend Jiva Goswami avec Ramdas et les autres dévots. Je chante Harinam Sankirtan et je chante Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Mahaprabhu son nom. Je continue. Je quitte Antardwip, je t'ai Simantadwip. Oh Jiva, listen carefully. Ganganagar was founded by the great king Bhagirath of the Raghu dynasty. He arranged for the descent of the Ganges into this world in order to bathe the ashes of his ancestors in her holy waters, thus delivering them. Donc le roi Bhagirath de Raghu Vansh lui-même lui priait pour Ganga Devi descendre la terre, pour lave, pour bahao, so ban ancêtre, so ashes, so la san. Et Vishakha, ou mieux tout de même s'il vous plaît. When the Ganges descended, King Bhagiratha raced in front of her in his chariot, leading the way while blowing a conch shell. When the Ganges arrived at Nabadwip Dham, however, she stood still and would not go any further. Seeing this, King Bhagiratha became afraid that the Ganges would remain there forever, and that his ancestors would never benefit from her holy waters. Retracing his step, he returned to where the Ganges had stopped at this place, now known as Ganga Nagar. Donc là, comme vous avez trouvé, Ganga Nadi peut descendre et le roi Bhagirath peut aller par devant, peut lead ça. Donc sa place que Ganga Devi charité là-bas, on appelle ça Ganga Nagar. Here he began performing austerities until goddess Ganga Devi, the personified Ganges, became pleased with him and appeared before him. At that time, Bhagirath said, "O Mother Ganga, if you remain here, my forefathers will never be delivered." Ganga Devi said, "Listen, O heroic Bhagirath, just stay here for a few days. The month of Magh, donc entre janvier et février, has now come to Nabadwip. When the month of Falgun, February, March ends, I shall leave this place and go on, fulfilling the desires of your forefathers." Donc, À ça l'époque-là, bien avant ça, hein. Avant Kali Yuga, ça. Donc, Ganga Devi comme elle est dans Nabadwip là-bas, l'in trouvé qui Falgun, ça veut dire mois de Falgun, est venu. Donc, l'Indien qui nous reste là pour un peu zou, et que là, nous continuons. O Bhagirata, I am the water that washes the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. At this place, his own divine abode, I would like to have my desires fulfilled. On the full moon day of Falgun, the birthday of the Lord, my vow will be completed. At that time, I will certainly go with you. Have no fear. Donc, Ganga Devi peut dire qu'il lui-même qui les lave les pieds de Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Et il peut dire qu'il peut attendre jusqu'à l'anniversaire. Quand c'est l'anniversaire fini passé, dès là, il peut ça passe pour aller. Pas pire. Nityananda concluded, here in Ganganagar, Maharaj Bhagirata, the king of the Raghu dynasty, stayed until the full moon day of the Phalgun, the month of Phalgun, and so anyone who bathes in the Ganges fasts and worship Sri Chaitanya on the full moon day of Phalgun crosses over the material ocean of birth and death along with 1,000 of his ancestors. Donc pensez, de nos ancêtres, nous pouvons prendre 1000 générations avant nous, nous pouvons quitter ça, le monde matériel là. Nous pouvons dépasser, nous pouvons dans le monde spirituel. Si nous gardons nos carèmes, nous worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu et nous baignons dans Ganga au jour de Gaur Purnima. Et encore une fois, baigner dans Ganga ici, ça veut dire faire d'un droite, prendre un petit de l'eau, sprinkle l'eau dans la tête. Such a great soul will at the time of death attain the transcendental planet of Goloka. Donc, sa personne-là, ce qui fait ça là, lui pour gagner Goloka. Et encore une fois, pas oublier, pas les yeux qui besoin faire ça, pas les yeux flashy eyes. This holy place, known as Ganganagar, is even more glorious because Sri Chaitanya danced here many times. Over there are the houses of Ganga Das Pandit, Sri Chaitanya's grammar teacher, and Sanjay Das, the famous singer who could chant the names of Krishna very sweetly. All these holy places are very pleasing to see. Donc là, il peut montrer Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, ce grammar, ce teacher, ce professeur grammaire, avec un famous singer qui s'appelle Sanjay Das, zut la case. Il peut montrer qui s'en a zut la case dans Simantadwip. Now hear the glories of this one. Donc, nous pouvons arrêter ici même. Et que là, nous pouvons continuer demain depuis Now hear the glories of this one. Est-ce que vous avez quelque chose pour ajouter ou quelque chose à demander? Pupusita? Anything to add?
Non. Je vais faire parikrama, hein.
Vishakha?
Non.
Yeshni? Yeshni voilà. Vous vous abonnez?
Non, ok là.
Is it good? Donc nous finissons la même et que nous pouvons continuer depuis ici. Demain, nous pouvons continuer, nous pouvons faire Simantadwip avec nous pouvons arriver là, Godrumadwip. Godrumadwip. Donc nous pouvons faire Simantadwip demain. Alors, on se rappelle bien, nous là, Simantadwip ici là. Et que là, nous pouvons arriver là, Godrumadwip en bas. Nous pouvons descendre en bas, nous pouvons faire ça descendre là. Donc les bons autres visualisent ici, côte nous pouvons faire parikrama, pour que vous compreniez. वंशकल्पातरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।